In a world where two short-term rental bros come together.
What?
Not in that way, bro. There's a podcast of truly epic proportions where we talk about all things short-term rental and shoot the shit along the way. Welcome to the Co-Host Bros Podcast. Here are your hosts, Matt Codd and Austin Spitz.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Co-Host Bros Podcast. My name is Matt Codd, and I'm here with my home skillet, Austin Spitz, and a really good friend of mine, Kim Fitzpatrick with Launched Host. She'll get your STR ready to go in 7 days. So let's talk about it. Let's be about it. What is going on, Kim?
Oh, well, hey, sorry, my office is mobile today because I am on site at an install and we have not got the internet set up. So I had to come to the local brewery and borrow theirs.
That's an easy way to get beer when we're done, though. I mean, for you.
I mean, yeah, you could come too, but it's a little bit of a trip.
I'm down for whatever. By the way, my wife does say hi to you. I told
Hi,
Chris I would
Carissa.
tell you on the podcast. So yeah. What's going on with you, Austin?
Much. I kind of wanted to start off by seeing if you guys, one of y'all could share the story about why you guys were eating gas station sushi. If you could give me the background story on that, because I saw it online and I was like, it raised a lot of questions for me, to be honest.
He just saw it today too, by the way. I mean, it's been like a week.
Way to be relevant, Austin.
A little behind. Oh, is this old? Is this old?
Fight the
Huh?
algorithm. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I like
Matt,
to tell you about the gas station sushi.
you tell it, Matt. I feel like you're going to tell it better.
I don't know. We just Bill was like, "Hey, you guys." Well, who's Jake? I think somebody else. Jake, who does pricing, who's on here, and he was like, "Oh, I want to have gas station sushi," and he kept fucking saying it, and we're all just like, don't know what he's talking about. And Bill's like, "Oh, you guys want to go to gas station sushi tonight?" And we're like, okay. So I think you rode with me, Kim, right? We were
I
fucking
did, yeah.
just random. We're going down some random roads and in the middle of nowhere, and then all of a sudden we're in the back of a gas station, and I'm like, "Oh, there's a gas station here. Where the fuck's the sushi place?" And she's like, "It's in the gas station." We're like, "Oh, okay." So we went in a gas station and ate sushi.
I mean,
It's like a thing there.
in the middle of Alabama too. Like, this is not the type of place I would normally feel comfortable eating sushi. And I say that even after I sat down and scooted my chair and got something sticky on my hand from underneath the chair. I mean, you're legit in a gas station. It's a little frightening, but it was delicious and none of us died.
Yeah.
So,
And they didn't sell alcohol. They said just go next door, which was really easy to do. The commute was fast. So we just walked in the gas station and bought a 6-pack and brought it back to the table. And shout out Bayou Fresh Seafood, I think it is.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you want to see the gas station sushi, you can check mine or Kim's social media for it. It wasn't bad,
pretty good.
actually. It wasn't half bad. I mean, I was pleasantly surprised, actually. Not as bad as, when another mastermind member caters the food and we all get fucking sick. So, I mean, I feel like there was less risk at the gas station, so that's good for me, I guess.
I was
Good
thinking
for Bill.
yeah. But yeah, we're all present and accounted for, so it turned out okay.
It went really well for Ryan Bakke, too, because we were in the airport together. He's like, "I'm fucking hungry." I'm like, "Dude, we just been an hour since we left. Like, you just ate breakfast."
Oh,
All right.
man.
Gas station sushi going right through him.
Yep, he can throw down, that's for sure.
He does. He puts it down every 5 minutes. So, anyway, what other story would you like us to tell, Austin? Because that's not what we're here for, to tell stories, Austin.
Got a little bit too much into the small talk, but people maybe wanted to know. I wanted to know, but no, we'll just jump into it. So for our listeners that don't know, Kim, if you don't mind, just give us a little elevator pitch on what it is exactly that you do and what does your business look like.
Yeah,
Pull
so
your
my
Google
business
Doc out.
My business is Launch Toast, and we take short-term rental properties from empty to guest ready in 7 days, guaranteed, regardless of the size or where it's located within the United States. We love what we do. We work really hard, and we do a really great job for owners. So I love it. I used to be, let me give you a little of my backstory of why I'm doing this. I used to be a middle school PE teacher, and I quit when COVID was over, and I was doing so much in short-term rentals. It was hard to have time to go back into the schools. And I just like doing this. So pivot after 17 years of teaching, and I thought I'd be, checking my listings and updating, but I can't sit behind a laptop. I am not meant for that. And I got really bored. And since I had always done my properties in 7 days or less, and then I was helping other people do theirs, I just decided that I needed a little more chaos in my life. And so with $40 worth of tools and a plane ticket, Launch Toast was born.
So how many houses have you done so far? Do you know?
Oh man. So if there's one thing people are going to know about me, I'm not a numbers person. I need to keep track, but I don't, but we're somewhere around 50, and I need to keep track so we can celebrate our 50th house.
Okay. And how many miles is on your truck at this point? Because you just drive everywhere.
So the driving thing is new. It's slightly separate. My kids are now adults, baby adults. They're, they're out into the big wide world on their own. And I'm moving from Portland, Oregon to Destin, Florida, and making that my primary residence, so that if I sell it in a couple years, then I don't have to pay capital gains. Also, Destin, Florida is closer to most of our installs, which are on more towards the East Coast than the West Coast. So I'm just trying to get to Florida. I'm in Maine today, so I've taken a little detour, but we'll get her there.
But you've been in Maine, right? You're doing an install in Maine right now,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got like a day left, maybe.
No, so
that.
we
Day
do,
or two.
in addition to the 7 days, we also have found that people have an additional pain point. Once we solve one problem, then another problem crops up, and then another. So the next problem that cropped up after the 7-day install was, how do they get all of the packages to the home? And so we will put one person instead of an entire team at a house for 2 weeks, and while all the packages start rolling in, and I'll go to the post office and pick them up. I will go to wherever I need to go and get things, and make sure they're all at the house and inventoried. So I'm the quiet before the storm right now, but we will start the install soon.
So what's
So you guys are
like what's
receiving
one?
them too.
Yep.
Yeah, if you could go back in time, like what's maybe one of the biggest learning lessons throughout your journey of building this business? Like if you could go back, say a year or so, or whenever you first got started, what's one thing you're like you could have told, Kim in the startup phases of all of this?
Yeah, so it's a lot different doing the work and owning the business. Those are two very different things. Like, doing the work is the fun that we all love, and that's why we start a business. We create a business out of it, and you think, "Oh, just give myself an LLC and give myself a name, and now it's a business." But it's like so much more than that. The work is one whole thing, but then the running the business is client communication, organizing like insurance and all the receivables, and just keeping track of the books and advertising. Like, they're two very separate things that are going on at the same time. Did I know that when I started? No. I was just like, oh, people just call me. They don't call you unless they know you exist, right? And then there's a whole
Right.
process. So
I mean, I think you've built a hell of a business just on word of mouth, because I know you don't use any funnels or email marketing or Facebook ads or anything, because we've talked about it. And I think that you're cheap. I think you need to raise your price. We've talked about that too. Um, so you guys gonna hit her up before it's freaking more expensive, because I've been telling her to raise her price for a year. So watch out. I will say though, also to the point too, that you are a terminal operator as well. So people understand that you do have vacation homes. So you understand exactly what's entailed in them, right? So let's talk about how you actually got into short-term rentals in general. So we already know you branched out from that to what you're doing now. You're tired of telling kids to do push-ups and pull up the rope, and they're like, "Mommy, I can't." So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the transition in general. Like, talk about your story because I know your story is very powerful and an interesting one, and one that the ladies out there would appreciate. And if you feel like sharing that far into vulnerability, that's up to you. But um, let's talk about what you're willing to talk about. Let's do that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I like to be an open book. I don't like to hit people with the hard stuff like right out of the gate, but I feel like a lot of people that are consuming your podcast kind of know me a little bit. So to go further back, I am divorced, and when my kids were little, I got divorced, and I took a break from teaching to be a stay-at-home mom with the kids when they were little. And that is when the divorce happened. And honestly, it was ugly. It was messy. It was rough. I had a restraining order on my ex. I don't hide that. And I am lucky to be alive. So there's a whole bag of worms we will not deal with, but I'm in a really good place right now and I feel really good. But it was rough when I got divorced, and I wanted my kids to have a life similar to what they had when they had to like an intact family. And I didn't have the money as a teacher to be able to give them everything that we wanted. I could barely pay the bills. Like, it was really hard to make ends meet. So I was like, how can I make more money? I was already coaching after school. I coached basketball, volleyball. I would pick up any extra money I could. And as a teacher, that's like $25 an hour. PS. So it's not, you're not making a lot of money. So somebody said you should drive Uber. And I'm like, well, I have a crappy old car and I don't know my left from my right and I don't know directions. I'm a terrible driver. They're barely insurable. So I was like, Uber's not going to work. What about this Airbnb thing? This is so interesting. So when my mom passed away, after my dad had passed away, I got a little bit of money. I made a down payment on a home, and it was a 3-bedroom property that I could not really afford, but I wanted so bad for my kids to be in a good school. So I knew that I was going to be renting out the primary bedroom with its own bathroom to a guest. And I tried Craigslist. Craigslist is sketch. People would come into your house and they would like do the whole tour, and then they would say, I'll let you know tomorrow. And I'm like, did I just get cased? Is somebody going to come back and rob me? This is so unsettling as a single mom with 2 little kids. So Craigslist didn't work out, and I thought this whole Airbnb thing might, and boy, did it. I had an air mattress in that bedroom, and people came through my front door. I greeted every guest. I got to meet lots and lots of people as I started this business out. But yeah, I hosted in my home with an air mattress, the real OG way.
So when you were doing this, it because I've thought about this and not actually entertained the idea, but I was like, we do have 2 like extra bedrooms that aren't really being used in our house, and I just thought about it, like thinking the way that I think, like, what would it be like if I rented one of those out? So was it weird to rent out like were your kids living there at the same time too? When were you guys living there when the guests would come in? Did you find it weird at all, or was it just kind of a normal thing and guests for the most part were respectable, or was it kind of a little off?
Honestly, 99% of the guests are awesome. And that's true, but even more true when they meet you face to face. I feel like they feel a little more accountable. They look at me and they're like, I'm probably not going to trash her place. I'm probably not going to smoke in her house. She's right there. Like, you know what I mean? Some of the things we worry about, they're not going to throw a party because I would be like, please leave. Take your friends with you. But some people are weird. Yeah. I mean, some people are. It was kind of great though, because it gave me another reason besides just me to tell the kids to clean up after themselves and behave themselves. And so it kind of acted as another parental support. I would do the typical mom thing where you like yell while you're whispering, like, you have to be quiet. We have guests here. This is really important. And like if they were, behaving poorly. So it kind of
So would they
helps
like
me.
would they like eat dinner? Like, would you cook dinner with them and invite them to eat with you, or is it kind of just like, hey, that's not part of what we do here, or is it like
I
bed and
mean,
breakfast kind of thing.
I'm not really a cook. I don't really love to cook, so it's not my personality to, but there were times where I hosted these two amazing people. They were students. I live really close to a college. So these students came from another country and they came to stay in the room and they went to college there, but they love to cook. And they would cook for like 2 hours. And that sometimes made it real hard for my kids with their sports schedules to like, we either have to eat dinner at 3:30 in the afternoon or it's going to be like 8 o'clock at night because of sports schedules and kitchen and whatnot. But we make it work. We ended up eating out a lot or like just scooting around each other in the kitchen. It's not a big kitchen, so it's not easy to be in there all together. But it was fair. It was fairly communal, but I didn't cook for other people. They didn't really cook for me. But it was fun. Occasionally I would do things with my guests. One guest was into boxing and was taking a boxing class. And I'm like, I'm so curious. And so I went to boxing class with him and that was fun. And I play basketball and one of my guests was obsessed with Michael Jordan, not from this country. And so he would come to basketball and see how the Americans played basketball. And we've done things together with our guests. So it's been fun.
Did the guy you went boxing with think it was a date?
No.
Guys oversee things. I'm just saying, like, he may have been like, oh, she's going boxing with me.
No, but he was I don't think so, but he was recently divorced and things started to get a little. So I was like, okay, he had an extended stay and I was like, here's your 2-week notice. We're going to be moving in another direction because it started to get a little weird.
So he obviously thought so. I mean, the good thing is, though, it's like at least the boyfriend pays his share, right?
I mean, yeah. But no, I do not mix business with pleasure. Let's just get that clear, Matt. You're not helping my case.
We need to, what we need to do, I mean, I know we're interviewing you, but we should actually call Austin's wonderful wife in here and see how she feels about him trying to Airbnb one of the rooms at his house. But maybe we'll dig into that another episode.
Yeah.
I don't think it would pass. It wouldn't pass.
I don't think it would fly. I mean, it would just, I don't think it'd go over well for you, man.
Well, and
then
honestly,
my room.
it's a different time now. I don't think a lot of people are renting rooms in Airbnb very often. I haven't really paid attention because I now rent my whole house when I'm gone. But you do what you need to do to pay the bills, right? When you got kids, you hustle. Yeah. So
there's a lot of weirdos out there.
Yeah, so I met some great ones though. I met some great people. So they're, like I said, 99% are awesome. I'm also in Portland, Oregon, so I'm near the Nike World Campus. During COVID, one of their long distance runners came and stayed with us and was like doing all of his long distance running workouts, and that was like really cool to have a Nike athlete in the house. I've had a Chinese couple that were visiting their daughter, and they made a full spread with every single dish I have in the kitchen, I swear, was on the table with a different little ingredient in it. And it smelled like miso soup at like 7 a.m. one morning. And it was really cool. So there's a lot of fun that we've had too.
So did it just make more sense instead of just renting that one room out to say like a college kid or something? Was it just more profitable to just do the short-term rental thing versus like whatever it might cost $700 for like somebody to live there in like a long-term lease? But Airbnb that one room out was just way more profitable, right? That's
way more. And the nice thing was, if my kids and I also a few, like the boxing guys, some of the long-term guests decided they were family, and we're like, I mean, I like you, but I also, my kids and I need a normal, like just the three of us time too, without you all the time. So with Airbnb, you could turn off the calendar and we could take a break. If my kids need a break, if we needed just the three of us time, I could get that. And so, it was way more profitable not to have the long term.
It's like a short-term rental house hack almost, right? Like Is that a thing? Is that like,
It
has
is.
that name been coined yet? Okay. I was about to
Yep.
say, like, it's
You
combining
just
both
coined
of
it.
Cool. I don't think I did though.
Yeah.
I don't think you did. Like, I want to give you credit, but it's been around.
Okay, good deal. I just hadn't heard of it, but I was
We'll change the
cool.
name. We'll change the name for you, Austin. Vacation House Hack or something.
No,
You'll be all right.
Kim's house hack.
So there you go, Kim's house hack. So tell us, because I don't think people understand. So tell us what it entails. What the hell do you have to do to set a house up in 7 damn days? What do you have to do? Like, what is required of it? Also, second part, are you looking for interns? Because I know you're always looking. It might be a good spot for you to say whether you're looking for them or not and how to get in contact with you on that. But step one first.
Okay, I'm going to go second first. Yes, I'm looking for interns. I've got a couple coming up, and we're starting to get spread thin because the demand is exceeding my people. I currently have 17 people on the roster that I can deploy to different places, but that's not always enough. So I am looking for interns. We have a whole internship program. Every single person that works for Launched Host has gone through the internship program. It's a great time. It's kind of like summer camp, but STR summer camp. And you got a lot of work to do. But what does it take to get done in 7 days? It takes a lot more than just showing up and starting the work. There's so much planning that goes into it before we get there. I have things organized. We have, like, your math teacher would have an order of operations and doing like math problems with parentheses. I don't know. We have an order of operations too. So there's certain things that we do first so that it makes our life better. For instance, I've got a bunch of bed frames in the house right now, but we don't have rugs. I'm not setting up bed frames until we get rugs, because it's real easy to kick a rug out on the floor and place it like one person under 10 minutes, probably under 5. To get the rug under a king bed frame after it's assembled, a lot more work and usually more people, or it's probably going to take 2 people like 20 minutes, half an hour to like wedge it under, and it's lifting and it's more effort. So we
Tell my wife that.
I don't want to get into the marital
She just
squabble.
made me do the same thing, like literally like 3 weeks ago. But anyway, I apologize for interrupting on that.
No, you're good. There's just some things that make sense, and we don't want to rush some things. Like, I have bed frames. I could be assembling bed frames, but I'm waiting for rugs. I'm doing other things. But yeah, we keep laundry going almost 24/7 because we pre-wash all of the linens and the bedding and the towels and everything. To get whatever packaging chemical-y things out. We just like them to be pre-washed. We pre-wash all the dishes. So we've got laundry and dishwashers going constantly as we have. But then we have certain things that we do, like put rugs down before couches and king beds.
Awesome.
I feel like that's extra service, but yeah.
So I absolutely see what you do, and I see the value, and I see the need for your kind of business. But my question is like, how did you get into this, and what made you say, like, this is what I'm going to do? Were you like solving a problem that people needed this service, or were you like, hey, I'm really good at this shit, I can copy and paste? A little bit of both. My real question is, what made you just decide to do this?
Well, a little bit of stumbling into it and a whole lot of like intentional execution. So the stumbling in is my parenting plan. I had my kids almost all of the time, except for things like every other spring break or one weekend Christmas break or every other week during the summer. So I only was ever away from my kids for 1 week at a time. So if I bought a property that wasn't local to where I lived, I had 1 week before I had to go back onto mom duty and be back home. I couldn't extend. I didn't have flexibility, so it had to get done. And so I just did it just out of necessity. And there was no discussion about it. It was just, that's just the way. So you just do it. And then people would see, geez, you get this done so fast. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. How long does it take you? And people, the average, did you know, is 8 weeks. When people DIY this on their own is 8 weeks. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know I was working that hard. I didn't know this isn't how everybody did it. I also didn't have a lot of money. So I had to get guests in there quickly to start getting that money back to me. So out of necessity, I stumbled into it. People liked what I did. They asked me to do it. So I kept doing it for friends. And then I started thinking this could really be a business. I enjoy it. I'm good at it and people need it. So then that's when I got intentional and really dug into a lot of like what Alex Hormozy says is solve rich people problems and go above and beyond, be one of zero. I didn't know anybody else that could travel the country and do this. Like, yes, there might be somebody in the Smokies or somebody in Orlando or somebody in Joshua Tree that can do this there. But if you buy one property in Joshua Tree and one property in the Smokies, you have to start all over. Well, I can then get people's property up and running without them having to start from scratch. So they can diversify their portfolio. I can help them because I will go to, like, for instance, this property I'm doing in Maine right now, I did another property for this owner in Kentucky not that long ago. So she is able to just get it off the ground and running and not have to interview people and start all over. So you solve big problems for people with money and you do it really, really well and you make yourself one of zero. So that's.
Yeah, I love that. I have never heard of anybody other than you doing the service, so I think it's really cool. While you're working on this, obviously you're trying to grow your business and you have done that and grow your profitability. Now, my next question is like when you start becoming more profitable and you're making a lot more money, are you looking to redeploy that money into buying more profitable short-term rentals, or what is kind of like your long-term vision with your business and short-term rentals?
I love this. I mean, I would struggle to find a place and just live there in the same box day after day after day. So I love this business. I see myself doing it for quite a long time. What am I going to do with the money? Well, I did buy a property in Montana a while ago and I did not budget well. And I did my own design. I did my own renovations and the budget just got crazy out of hand. And so I'm still working to pay down that debt. So that's what the income goes to. It also, I still have renovations I want to do there. Like I really want to make that property incredible. So I would love to improve that property. Property I'm moving into in Destin. I love the area of Destin, but maybe that property is not my forever property. So maybe I roll that one into a bigger one. Those are my personal thoughts on it. I want to take my kids on a big, amazing, crazy, expensive, awesome vacation before they get wives and children of their own and I never see them again. I'm holding on to them as much as I can. So, yeah.
So you never said how people to get a hold of you for internships. So I'm assuming they'll DM you on Facebook or Instagram. And if you can't get a hold of her, you can DM me and I'll get a hold of her for you. But, there's that. So let's break it down to where, like, let's just say I want you to go to Sachaquana, Florida, and you've never been there. And I want you to set this property. What do you do? How do you get people there? How do you get boots on the ground? Like, what do you do?
So I have team members that are like scattered all over the country. So I would call the people on my team that are closest and then just radiate out from there. So my guy in Seattle, I'd probably call him last and he'd probably understand. And then I set up the team based on the size of the property and based on their availability. And then we like to have interns on every project because I want to just kind of keep fresh blood. That is our training program. It is how you learn is we just throw you into the deep end of the pool.
Perfect.
And part of the reason why is if you just showed up for one day and kind of go, oh yeah, I could probably handle this. But can you handle living with the team for 7 days? Can you handle doing the physical and mental labor? Can you handle the stress? Are you going to break down on day 4? I mean, I've had somebody break down on the very last day. I was like, I just need you to do these 4 more things. And then you're off to the airport. And it was just like, I'm done. I'm just going to the airport. And I was like,
Can you sleep
okay.
on an air mattress?
Well, we sleep on the mattresses at the property. But
okay, you've moved up in the world then.
I mean, when the mattresses get delivered to this property, I will sleep on one. I think every single.
Oh, there we go. Here we go.
This currently, I'm still waiting on mattresses, but I said to the driver that dropped the last load off, I was like, do you have any? And he said, mattresses? No. Like before.
Hey, everybody, this is Matt from the Co-Host Bros podcast. I recently came back from a mastermind trip, and I spent a lot of time talking about taxes with Ryan Bakke. So Ryan normally took on clients that had 10 plus listings. Well, he created a brand new program where he's going to take on people between 1 and 10 listings for a lot cheaper at a small business owner price. It's going to include on-demand support, monthly calls, and tax prep. They're going to do little coaching calls monthly, things like that to help you save as much money as possible on your taxes in the future, including on this year. Ryan has helped thousands of people save money, investors especially, and you really don't want to sleep on this because I think the price will go up at some point. You're going to save far more money than you spend. If you're really interested in changing CPAs and finding something better, go ahead and click the link that I posted for you inside the show notes. Now we're going back to the show.
Even said it, and I was like, oh, word must be getting around at the delivery place that she wants a mattress, because I've asked every person. But
so I think I see your next move potentially as you continue to grow, and I think it's like you could be like an either HGTV show or something like reality TV where they film you and your crew, and then there's these people over here fighting with each other because they can't get along, and then
Interesting.
all this chaos that's going on in your business. I mean, I think it would be entertaining, and like if you're a fly on the wall in one of your installs, because I'm sure a lot's going on. Like, I think it would be an interesting show. I don't know, just a thought there.
I mean, a lot of people have said that. I think it would be fun for me not to be the one holding the camera doing the stuff. I think it would give better like quality. Honestly, there's a little drama, but not a ton. But I work really hard to manage the drama, because if people get into it, I try to like separate them so that everybody is positive. If somebody is really frustrated by how a build is going, I try to give them an easy task, and I love them up so that they are still at like peak performance. Because I mean, drama might be fun to watch on the other side of the TV, but when you're the business owner and you are guaranteeing it's going to be done, and it's going to be done well, then I definitely watch the ebbs and flows of the energy and whatnot. But I mean, we still have a good time too. There are times I've cannonballed into a pool fully clothed. We go out to dinner. I like to treat them to dinner if we can, and we have fun. We let loose, and yeah, we do stupid things here and there. We jump in the dumpsters. I mean, we have fun, but I do try to keep the drama at a minimum, because I'm not actually, I don't feel good in conflict. I really hate it. So I try to see it coming and manage it.
And that's why you act so positive.
Probably. Yeah. Don't
do
come
some
at
stupid
me, bro.
shit. Put me on the install.
I know. I might.
I know. Like.
Yeah, no, I don't want to deal with the crazies. So no, Matt, you're not invited.
Yeah. Like when I slam my hand on the table and scream broken bow.
Yeah. Like
you
that.
Get startled.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out Calvin.
Oh no shout.
Anyway.
No.
Oh, too late. I'll edit that out maybe.
No, you
I'll
won't.
decide later. No, I won't. You're right. You know me well enough. I'm just gonna let it ride no matter what happens. So
yeah.
So we got the interns. So do you hire people locally while you're out there to get people to help too?
Yeah. I started out it was just me. I would go to a location and I would hire locally. I've found a lot of unsavory people that way. There's like, think of the type of people that will work today, that want to be paid today in cash, and they will work for not a lot of money. You don't get like maybe the people that are always in the best of circumstances. So I quit doing that and I brought in teams. But now what I realize is when our entire 100% of the team leaves, that doesn't leave the property owner in a good place. If they need some ongoing maintenance in the future, like 6 months down the road, they don't have anyone to call. So now what we do is I bring a slightly smaller team, and I still try to source really good quality local person or two, so that there's somebody left behind that knows the house really well and that can follow up with the owner when things are needed. And that feels like the sweet spot.
You charge extra for that?
Nope, this is part of what we do.
Or is that just included? Well, you need to charge extra for that. You do so much extra stuff that you need to charge extra. I'm dead serious. I can't say it enough. And if she's charging you the prices she's charging you today, I mean, she's fooling you guys. I'm dead serious. She's charging you too little. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't do it for that. I wouldn't even get out of bed for that. That's just me. You're very, very. I mean, you're cost effective for what people need done. I mean, I think that it's ridiculous, but that's great. I mean, you find them somebody on the ground to be able to help them 6 months down the road. I've seen you put up wallpaper. I've seen you put together all kinds of stuff, which I'm assuming that's just what you would do, is put together stuff, but I don't understand why you're putting up wallpaper. Apparently that's part of it, right? But I mean, to me, that's like an extra service too. So it's like, I feel like you go above and beyond.
So let's get it clear. I do charge extra for wallpaper. It takes one or two people a lot of time away from the install. So I do charge for wallpaper, and we like to hire it out, but sometimes we can't find somebody that's available or a reasonable price. So we take care of it when we can. Yeah.
So I think like,
but you know, Matt, I know it's.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say,
you're the guy. You go.
Me, okay, fine. I was just gonna say that, Matt, I don't charge a ton. I know I could charge a lot more, but I just really, I know what it's like to start a property and be on like a shoestring budget. So I care about the people that need a good service at a good price. And it works for me right now. So I'm happy to do it. But yeah, there will be a day where the prices increase. It's not today. So call me this year. Hurry up.
I think it comes down to like, it comes down to like, what does your demand look like, right? So like if you're on pace and everything's flowing smoothly, then your price is probably accordingly. Like you're probably doing it the right way. If you have too many people that you can't schedule anyone, then that might be a sign to raise your price. So I don't think it necessarily comes down to like, you need to raise your price. It's like, what is your situation and why would you raise your price? So like, if everything makes sense and you're profitable every single time and you got everything lined up, that's good. But if you have like, hey, I've got to turn down projects because I have too many people, then maybe at that point you visit it and say, hey, maybe I'll change my price. I don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly it. While we can handle the demand, I'm happy with the price. If the demand spikes up, then we'll do something to like manage the supply and the demand, right? That's economics. At least that's what they tell me. So yeah. I'm happy with where I'm at right now. So
yeah, I wanted to touch on one thing, like you said back there, like when you were talking about how you're trying to find somebody local, and it's like, okay, if they can get there today, that's kind of like a red flag. And the quote that I think of, and I don't know if you could relate to this, but it's like fast, cheap, and quality, and you can only pick two of them, right? Like I feel like I've learned that a while ago, and I've noticed that to be true. Like if it's fast and it's cheap, it's not going to be quality. And if it's you just can only pick two of the categories. You know what I mean?
That's exactly right. And when I find locals and a guy is willing to work for $20 an hour, I'm probably going to have him move boxes because I'm not really sure of his skills. But if a guy is charging $75 an hour, I'm going to dig in a little more and I'm going to make him do like the more difficult, like cerebral things, because he must understand his worth, at least in some way. I also, when I hire, I have what I call the 2-hour rule, which I hire somebody for a small 2-hour project. And if I like them at the end of 2 hours, I say, hey, would you like to do more work? I have this other list, but I kind of warm them up and I start them out and I see if I like them or not. If they show up and I can tell they're high on some sort of drug, I'm going to give them their 2 hours. I'm going to watch them like a hawk. I'm going to pay them and kick them out the door and call it a day. And I'm just not going to mess around. So I don't hire anyone locally that I don't know for more than just a 2-hour rule. So And that has served me well, because it gets the bad ones out quickly. And usually the good guys that I want to keep around, I'm like, do you have friends? Do you know anybody else who, I trust your work. So who else do you have that could help? And that's been a really good system.
Yeah, I love that. I want to pivot for a second. So Kim building this business, I'm sure you didn't just bootstrap this whole thing. I'm sure you had some help along the way, from maybe mentors or something like that. Talk about how, I guess, what am I trying to say here? Have you had mentors along the way, and how has that helped impact your business?
Yes, I've had mentors that have been super helpful, and some of them are bootstrapped. I will say that probably the biggest value I have ever gotten is him right now, because this is so valuable for any business owner or anyone that's like really interested in that. Go to acquisition.com, go to the tab that says courses. They have $1 Million Offers course and $1 Million Leads course. And those two courses are free, and there's handouts, and you can like take notes, and you can watch his videos. That has been the game changer for me. And I did go on a reality show for entrepreneurs, not for what I do in my business, but for business owners in general. And I'm going to toot my own horn here. I did pretty well. And I know I owe it to Alex Hormozi's free courses. So they're very good. And I revisit those courses probably about quarterly, like every year. I just kind of go over it once a quarter and refresh and refine and just see another, like, oh, I need to work on this. I'll fix that in my business. So that's been hugely successful. Also, I have to give a shout out to Stacy St. John, who runs her business like a well-oiled machine in short-term rentals. It's women's only. Maybe you guys have not heard of her. I don't know. But she's very great with you. You know her? Yeah, you guys don't get in. Yes. Sorry, it's girls only. But she runs her business so like just solid, and it's really been impactful for me that I can't run it like a crazy person, just kind of reacting to every situation that comes up, that I need to have a plan. And it has given me a lot of peace and settled a lot of things in the business. And then the third mentor would be Bill Faith. A while back, he built a super team, and I'm just going to say it. We all noticed that the original super team was all white men. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. There's a bunch of white men on here. He needs a woman. Well, if I was to join the super team, what would I do? And then Avery Carl came on, and she was a realtor. But if you look at that team, like he gathered this big team. If you look at that team, they all had different strengths that they offered that all short-term rental investors needed. So then I was like, okay, where's the hole? How can I fill it? So using that super team and Alex Hormozi's courses kind of like created this.
Yeah. And for our listeners that don't know. Yeah.
You're on my super team.
There we go. For the listeners that don't know, you were called up on stage. I think, what was it, the conference 2 or 3 years ago? I mean, talk about that? Were you prepared for that? Because it's just like, you tell us, how'd that go?
No, I was not prepared for that. In fact, it's really funny because there is a company called STR Strike. You will see them. They're growing, but I just was randomly sitting next to this guy in the audience, and I was a author in the Hospitable Host Volume 2 book. And I was just kind of getting settled for the day at the beginning of the conference, day 1, morning 1. And I think I was checking my emails to make sure that I was like caught up as Bill was talking. So sorry, Bill, I wasn't totally paying attention. But all of a sudden I was listening to him talk, and I was like, oh, he's talking about the Hospitable Host book. Oh, that's interesting. And I said to the guy next to me, I go, that sounds like my story. That is my story. And he's like, what? And then Bill says, hey, Kim Fitzpatrick, come on stage. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I had no idea that was going to happen.
Yeah, you had a lot of people crying.
Oh,
I think
that's
you were
so nice.
maybe you were tearing up there too, but I remember watching people in the audience. A lot of people were tearing up. It was very inspirational. I thought it was definitely. I don't remember that much from the conference because I can't pay attention for shit. But absolutely remember that part, and I thought it was really cool.
Oh, that's awesome. That's good to hear. Yeah.
Is that because you were tearing up, Austin?
Say it again.
Were you tearing up, Austin? Is that why you remember?
Honestly, man, I watch movies with my wife, and I'm the one that ends up tearing up and crying more often than not. So I'm a crier. So I'm not ashamed to say I probably was out there tearing it up.
There's my sensitive guy.
There we go.
Oh my God. Well, why don't you tell us a story?
Me?
Why not? I mean, at least you want everyone to buy the book. I mean, if you guys don't want to go buy the book, you can buy the book. But if you haven't bought the book, I mean.
Well, yeah, the story is a lot of what I covered. Just my like rise that I was a divorced single mom and trying to make way for my kids. So I had the air mattress in the bedroom and it started this whole journey. So I kind of told the story at the beginning. So you've heard it, but it's still worth the book. There's lots and lots of authors in the book sharing their stories.
Well, I think that you are awesome. I know Austin thinks that you're awesome, and everybody I know loves you. I haven't met a person that doesn't like you yet, so that's fantastic. And if you need your property set up in 7 days, you need to call Kim with Launched Host. Tell everybody where they can find you, Kim, how they can get a hold of you. Yeah, anything else you'd like to just put out there for everybody?
Yeah, I love to talk to people. So Facebook is usually the easiest. Just send me a message in Messenger. Friend request me. It's easier for me to see those messages. I'm under Facebook as Kim Fitzpatrick. I'm on Instagram as Launched Host. So you'll probably be able to find me in both places. My email is, oh boy, I don't use it that often. I'm going to mess it up. I better not say it. I better not tell you my email. Just find me on social media. That's the best place because I'm going to screw it.
I've been trying to get her to check my email to come on the show.
But yeah, just send me a message. I'd love to chat. I'd love to help people, even if you just need a little bit of advice and you don't need like the full-blown Launched Host team to come descend on your property. I just don't want you to struggle. I hate that people's kids like mine don't like to go to short-term rental properties because the work is so tremendous and they don't expect what the whole scope. I don't like that I've heard of married people almost getting divorced over an install. Like that makes me sad. I don't want that for people. So if I can give you advice on the scope or do it for you, I'm happy to help.
My son hates going to my rental. He hates it.
Yep.
Too much. He thinks he's gonna work every time. And guess what he's doing this weekend, baby?
Probably working.
So what, I don't normally ask this, but I do have one more question I want to ask. So what kind of advice can you give somebody who's setting up their first short-term rental to try to streamline it and make it easier for them so they can not do it in 8 weeks? Maybe they could do it in 7 weeks. Maybe something that, or do you have some kind of tool that helps with cost or something? Because I know you had some kind of tool or something, and I don't remember what it was. Why don't you share that as well so we can put that in the show notes for everybody as well, and then attach that to a lead magnet.
Oh yeah, I gotta work on that, Matt. I might need your help.
I'll help you.
So the first piece of advice, this is, I think, the one that they need to wrap their brain around the most. For my team, who does short-term rental launches all the time, it takes us, like I plan for my team on a 4-bedroom house to spend 250 hours, like 250 hours of work to get a 4-bedroom house launched. We do it in 7 days. So I divide it by the days and the people I've gotten, and we figure out how long we expect to work. Sometimes we can work faster, sometimes slower. A lot of that is dependent on the design. So if you can say how many hours, how many people each day until you get to 250, or if you're not good at this, 350, 400 hours, then you can manage the scope a lot better and hire if you need to hire. Use all the sites, use Facebook, use TaskRabbit, use like all those things, and hire people using the 2-hour rule so that you don't overwhelm your spouse and your children. Secondly, I do have a calculator that helps you budget and figure out how much it's going to cost, because a lot of people think it's more expensive to hire me than DIY it. But what we find is because of the carry cost and all of the utility fees and just all of those things just continuing, like it's like a cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Every single day you are paying to own a property. If it's not getting rented, you're not getting the rental income and you're paying to own it. So we have a calculator that helps like show you what your travel costs are to get there, and it just breaks it all down so you can put it in your pro forma and you can make a plan for it, and then you can decide if it's cheaper to hire Launch Toast or if it's cheaper to DIY it.
I feel like it's probably I would always feel like it's probably cheaper to do it through you regardless, because like you said, the time aspect of it, if it takes them 8 times longer is basically what you're promising, from 1 week to 8 weeks. That's so much lost money there in itself. And then all the mistakes that they're going to make along the way trying to DIY it, you've already made all those mistakes. So it's like, I've already made the mistakes. You're going to mess up and lose money and time here. So it's like, to me, if I'm going through this process and I have a lot of money and I can work you into my budget, I'm not doing anything. Like, I don't want to do it. Like, if you're the pro, you do it. So I love that.
Yeah, and I think that's what people wrestle with. They'll buy the plane tickets, and then later they'll buy the rental car, and then later they'll buy the food to eat out, and later they'll buy the tools. And so little by little, like I know even me personally, if I'm going to make a big order, I look at if it's $2,000 worth of garbage on Amazon, I won't spend it. I will not, but I will spend $100 20 times, but I won't spend $2,000 one time. And that's the thing that people aren't understanding when they DIY it, is they are nickel and diming themselves to death. They've done all the work. They've spent more money. They're more exhausted and frustrated. And it was like, oh, but there was a solution the whole time. And so I'm trying to find ways to communicate that to people.
Yep. Well, when you do it yourself, it always takes more hours. It always takes more time, more money. Like, I remember when I set up my short-term rental, and like the biggest thing I remember out of all of it is we drove 2 hours there, and we're literally 10 minutes away, and we're going to build the fence. And I was using screws, and Krista goes, "Did you bring the drill?" And I was like, "Oh fuck!" So then I had to drive an hour round trip to Lowe's to buy another damn drill. So I already wasted a whole freaking hour driving my ass around buying a drill, and it's like, it's so funny because you just think like, oh yeah, it's just going to be so easy. You need a ridiculous amount of organization just to fucking get through the door. Like, I mean, your organization with this is like, it's out of this world. I mean, so and people need to understand, like, it's not, you think it's going to take you 2 weeks? It's going to take you 6 weeks. Like, straight up. I mean, you ever worked on a car before? Tell your wife it's going to take 2 hours to change that fucking starter. You're going to be in there for 8. Like, I mean, it's just how things go. It's how projects go, you know?
Right.
So,
yeah. So, yeah, we come fully equipped with a massive amount of tools, adhesives, and all kinds of things, so that if a furniture piece comes like slightly damaged, if we can repair it instead of like packaging it up, shipping it back, waiting for the next one to arrive, if we can fix it, we fix it. Often we don't even tell owners that we're doing that. We just take care of it because there's so much to communicate anyway. We're just going to make things right. So, yeah, if one part is missing. I remember in North Myrtle Beach, we were on a job and there was this weird screw thing. I forget what it's called now, but we couldn't find a new screw forever. We usually hoard all the spare parts and we go through the graveyard looking for something that will replace it, but we didn't have one for this particular item. And yeah, it took us like 3 hours in 2 different stores until we found the right parts. And then we bought way too many. We're just like, buy these 3 and hope one of them works, and it's just silliness.
Wow, the things that you go through to make sure that your clients are successful, I mean, I think that just shows. So if you guys are looking at someone to install your short-term rental, you guys need to call her. I mean, that's straight up. So, Kim, I appreciate your time and every time I see you, and I love hanging out with you, and you're great to hang out with. And thank you for not pushing me inside the lake in Alabama. However, I did help Brenda Carls push you in. She told me I had to, but that was my little secret, and I'll let you know now. And it wasn't just me; it was Justin Ford too. So your buddy from Breezeway, he can get make sure make sure you get him before you get me because I'm more likable and handsome, just the way it goes. But
your days are
I
numbered.
really appreciate it. I know I'm screwed. I shouldn't have said anything. Crystal would have snitched on me eventually anyway. So she would have texted you, and then I'd be like, "Fuck, why'd you tell her?" She's like, "I'm not gonna lie to her." I'm like, "Okay, fine." But thank you so much. Everybody listening to the show, please rate us on the podcast channels, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Follow us at Co-Host Bros on every social media. You have questions, email us at questions@cohostbros.com. Want to be a guest, hit us up at info@cohostbros.com. But we really appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for listening. And thank you, Kim, for coming on. And I will leave the rest of this to Austin. So, all right, Home Skillet, it's up to you.
Yes.
Hey, guys, if you could just leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform, that would be awesome. Right now, we're running a contest, and we're going to pick winners to get some free Co-Host Bros gear. All you got to do is leave us a review. Doesn't matter what the review is. It could be a 1-star. It could be a 5-star. Just shoot a snippet of it to info@cohostbros.com. That's info@cohostbros.com. And we would really appreciate it. Thank you all for listening.
The Co-Host Bros Podcast.